We're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific two-part Great British giveaway. First, you could win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash. And that's not all, as you'll also win our most precious prize to date, a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dawdney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The GB News audience is different, it's unique, because they see through the nonsense.
We want to debate with each other, we want to listen and maybe learn.
We have a chat. That's what we do. We try and have a chat.
They'll watch my programme while they're eating their tea, they'll watch breakfast while they're busy getting their kids ready for school.
We want to hear what matters to you, what is news for you.
And what's brought you out here today? What are the biggest issues affecting this particular area?
The audience are the best thing about GB News.
Their friends, their family. They're people who need to have their voices heard.
They're passionate about the channel, they're passionate about what they believe in.
The one thing about GB News is you get a chance to speak.
Talk to me about why so many people have gathered here today.
Do you want to say something back in return? The GB News audience is what makes GB News special.
It's incredible to see. They shape our programmes, they shape our output, and they shape our channel.
That's what makes us the fearless champion of Britain.
Good evening. Oh, hello, good evening. It's 9 o'clock. I'm Nana Akweer, in for Patrick Christys tonight.
Westminster hasn't been working for people, and it hasn't been working for a very long time. In fact, it is broken. I am going to give Britain the circuit breaker it needs.
Andy Burnham unveiled his big vision for Britain today.
Well, imagine no more. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, make it happen. He ran scared of answering any questions, and instead...
I left the north again, I travelled south again. Well, there's a bit of a Smiths lyric there for you.
He just had to remind us how northern he is. Also tonight.
That partnership allows us to remove failed asylum seekers, visa abusers and foreign criminals, all of whom are being removed from this country at a rate far higher than the one that we inherited.
A record 20,000 foreign criminals are living freely in Britain because, well, we can't deport them. Plus,
it turns out appointing a spiteful class warrior as Education Secretary was a disaster.
Bridget Phillipson is branded a class war hypocrite after it emerged that her parents made a massive profit on their council home. Also tonight.
It's our flag, it belongs to us, and we will fly it for the values that we believe in.
Downing Street fails to get the bunting out for the World Cup. Is the Prime Minister a plastic patriot? And fears that the Chinese mega embassy could be used as a prison. On my panel tonight, Daily Express columnist Carol Malone, journalist Benjamin Butterworth, he'll be here soon, and Reform Party member Sir Jake Berry. Get ready, Britain, here we go. But first, let's get your latest news headlines at 9.
Very good evening. These are your top stories at 9 o'clock. Resident doctors in England have voted to accept an offer from the government to improve pay and working conditions. The offer includes more training jobs, faster pay progression and a plan to cover out-of-pocket expenses like exam fees. Patients have seen hundreds of thousands of appointments cancelled due to industrial action over the past few years. Health Secretary James Murray praised the doctors' decision to end their current strike action.
This helps to move us forward from a cycle of ongoing strikes, which have been going on for far too long and have cost the country billions of pounds. The cost of the offer on the table is less than the cost of another week of strikes, so it's good value for money for taxpayers, as well as being good news for NHS staff and, crucially, for patients, because it means we can now work with resident doctors to build an NHS that is fit for the future.
Andy Burnham has promised to give the UK a new direction and fix what he called a fragmented and disjointed Westminster.
I am going to give Britain the circuit breaker it needs.
In his first major speech since announcing he's running for Labour leadership, he set out plans for the biggest transfer of power out of Whitehall in modern times. So-called Number 10 North would devolve power to Manchester and give more money and control to other regions. The new Labour MP for Makerfield says that it's all part of a 10-year plan to raise living standards across the UK. But Deputy Leader of the Liberal Democrats, Daisy Cooper, wasn't so convinced by his speech.
Well, it was high on vibes and low on detail. And the reality is that Andy Burnham has a very small window within which to turn things around for the Labour Party and to turn things around for the country. We want to see meat on the bones as soon as possible.
Sir Keir Starmer has reaffirmed Britain's commitment to NATO, meeting Secretary-General Mark Rutte in Downing Street ahead of next week's summit in Ankara. It comes as the government unveils its biggest defence shake-up in years, with the Royal Navy ditching destroyers in favour of drone command ships. The Defence Investment Plan brings an extra £14.5 billion in funding, though critics say it falls well short of what's needed. 6 people have been killed after a gunman opened fire at a shelter for mothers and children in northern Germany. The shooting happened at a facility in Stade, near Hamburg, where a 45-year-old man had an appointment in connection with a child custody dispute. All 6 victims were employees of the shelter. The suspected shooter is now in custody along with 2 women. And actress Dame Penelope Keith has died at the age of 86. She started her career on the stage and joined the Royal Shakespeare Company in 1963, but became a household name for her work in sitcoms. She was best known for her role as Margot Ledbetter in The Good Life, for which she won a BAFTA. Her family said she passed away peacefully at home after living with cancer. Those are the latest GB News headlines for now. More from me in an hour, but now it's back to Nana.
You can now watch GB News live across the United States of America and the world on Truth Plus. Scan the QR code to find out more or visit gbnews.com/truth.
Good evening. The government is trying to gaslight the public into thinking that they've got a grip on migration. Shabana Mahmood was today busy celebrating plans to replace judges in deciding asylum appeals with ordinary members of the public. Hundreds of people from various different backgrounds will be trained as adjudicators to oversee appeals against rejected asylum claims. Now, the government claims that the changes will speed up the deportation of thousands of migrants. But who will these new adjudicators be? Let's hope it's not this lot.
Just notice your placard saying refugees welcome here. Yes. I'm just wondering if you'd like to go down on a list saying you're willing to take the refugees into your home.
Well, if I had any space, I would.
If you had any space.
It wouldn't be a nice place to bring them because it's a bit overcrowded.
Right.
But yes.
Sorry, rental. Yeah. You can't do it. Yeah. Someone else's job. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, I can't.
You can't take one.
I don't have
the space.
Now, the new policy is part of the government's immigration and asylum bill, which will be introduced to Parliament tomorrow. You can expect the Home Secretary and other ministers to pontificate about the mess that they were left by the last Tory government, about how they're cleaning it all up and they've got a grip on the asylum system and so on and so on. But they're just trying to pull the wool over our eyes. Do you remember this?
That partnership allows us to remove failed asylum seekers, visa abusers and foreign criminals, all of whom are being removed from this country at a rate far higher than the one that we inherited.
Well, today it was revealed that a record 20,000 foreign criminals are living freely in the country, having avoided deportation. 19,779 have been identified for deportation by the Home Office, but have been freed from prison to live in the community. That is more than double the 8,500 at the same point in 2020. And guess what? Most of them are using the ECHR to stay in the country. Sex offenders, robbers, fraudsters, arsonists and domestic abusers successfully challenged their deportation by claiming it breached their rights to a family life. According to The Telegraph, a Pakistani drug dealer who was allowed to stay in Britain after an immigration court heard it would enable him to teach his son how to shave and talk to him about things a mother could not. And then even if we do manage to deport any migrants, we can't seem to stop them coming back. According to The Sun, thousands of migrants who had been deported from the UK were later found back in Britain just years later. Nearly 4,300 individuals who had previously been kicked out of the country were back in the United Kingdom between 2021 and 2025. Amazing. We've got a record 20,000 foreign criminals that we can't boot out, and then even the ones that we do manage to boot out keep coming back. So what does the government decide to do? Well, they're going to introduce a new sponsorship scheme offering safe and legal routes for migrants to come to the UK. The Home Office is understood to be planning to resettle more than 10,000 under the new community sponsorship scheme by the end of the decade. Fantastic. We're just going to wave the white flag at all those small boat migrants. Come on in, lads, it's all over. Ditch the dinghies, hop on a plane, and you can just walk right in. And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, we've finally hit rock bottom. Labour has dropped the ban on small boat migrants and other illegal immigrants winning British citizenship after a legal challenge would claim that the policy was a breach of human rights laws and international refugee treaties. All migrants will have to do is say it was outside their control that they arrived in the UK without permission. That's it. And then they're on their way to British citizenship. So next time you hear a government minister banging on about how they're ramping up deportations, smashing the gangs, cleaning up the asylum system, frankly, they're having a laugh. But let's get the thoughts of my panel. Daily Express columnist Carol Malone and also Reform UK member Sir Jake Berry.
So we're waiting for Benjamin. I don't know what
we are.
We're quite happy he's not here, actually.
Well, exactly.
We can just push our views.
Well, no left-wing views tonight. Let's have a proper show.
Yeah, let's have a proper discussion. I know our viewers will be very happy instead of chewing their hair, listening to the rant. No, but seriously, Jake, you hear this. they keep acting as though they're doing something. And every time they come up with even doing TikTok adverts and stuff like that, which is frankly ridiculous. And now finally, when we think we've got a Home Secretary that appears to be going in the right direction, she's reversing.
And look, and this is why the British public are so angry. Because they have been lied to again and again and again. And we have Keir Starmer coming into Downing Street, almost as bad as the former government, which everyone knows I was part of, coming into Downing Street saying we're going to smash the gangs, and have a Home Secretary saying we're going to deport a record number of people. Look, I think the British public have woken up to this. We know what the political classes want. They want to flood our country and change our society beyond all recognition. And no matter it feels like what the British people say, the courts will get in the way. The judges like Lord Hermer will get in the way. The international bodies will get in the way. And the only way we're ever going to truly deal with this, and I called for this when I was in the cabinet in government, is leaving the ECHR, defending our borders, and when these people arrive in our country illegally, they should almost not touch the shore. They should be picked up, arrested, taken to a processing centre and immediately deported to a third country like Rwanda, Albania. Frankly, I don't care where it is. They shouldn't be in our country.
Carol Malone.
Yes. This thing today, this dropping the ban on small boat migrants, the Tories brought in a law that said if you came here illegally, you could never get British citizenship. It was a very good law to bring in, and they brought that in with trying to bring it in with the Rwanda scheme. Now Labour has dropped both of those things, which were two fairly decent deterrents. You know, every country has a right to control its own borders in however way it wishes. And they cannot be... British citizenship should not be part of a pathway if you come here illegally. It should be a rule that if you come here illegally, not only do you not get citizenship, you don't get benefits, you don't get to stay here, you don't get put up in a hotel. The only thing you're entitled to is a flight straight back out. And yet, Mahmood, who I actually had some respect for, because I really thought she was pushing through an agenda that we were all in favour of. I don't know whether this has happened. I know this has been a challenge brought by these greedy scumbag lawyers who have used ECHR Article 8 to say that people, this is against the human rights to no longer grant them citizenships. It's not against... What have human rights got to do with British citizenship? Nothing whatsoever. It shouldn't be part of the argument. But Mahmood could have challenged this more than she has, and I'm hoping that the Tories are going to challenge it in the Commons. I think that's their next step. It is shocking that we are... It's another noticing. Come on down here. You stay here for a couple of years and you'll be a citizen. And these people are a drain on our country.
All right. Well, let's speak to political commentator Matthew Stadlen. Matthew Stadlen, what do you make of what Shabada Mahmood is doing? Surely she's, in a way, inviting people to come here. She's not really... There's no deterrent anyway. So by then offering more safe and legal routes, it just means that people can come straight in and again... And also the fact that you can now just claim British citizenship if you have come via any of those illegal routes. So, again, no deterrent whatsoever.
Well, hi, Nana. Thanks for having me on. Hello, everybody. And I would just start by saying that what Sir Jake Berry just said, that the political class, something along those lines, politicians, the political class, deliberately trying to flood our country with immigrants is one of the most bonkers things I've ever heard on GB News. Not only, as he pointed out himself, was he a senior figure in the last Tory administration, but for him to say something that makes it sound as though he's been radicalised with the Kool-Aid, that there's some sort of conspiracy by his former party and by the Labour government to flood the country with immigrants would be utterly disgraceful if it were not so obviously comic. On the substance of this, well, there's the politics, isn't there? We've got a new Prime Minister about to come in, Andy Burnham, who made his speech today. I thought, by the way, he should have taken questions. And there is the possibility that Shabana Mahmood may be trying to soften her approach to immigration a little bit in anticipation of Andy Burnham and his approach to immigration. We all await with bated breath how he's going to deal with the various challenges. I'm on the centre left. Clearly, we need to get a grip of all this. But if it were an easy scenario, then trust me, the last Conservative government would have done something about it because they knew how toxic it was. And this Labour government would have done something about it already. None of this is easy. And the idea that leaving the ECHR is some sort of silver bullet, even if it were desirable, I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Jake Berry.
Well, good to see you again, Matthew. But look, if there isn't intent behind this, why then, when you had things that were discouraging people coming from this country, like the threat of being deported to Rwanda, let's not forget that people left Northern Ireland and went to Southern Ireland to avoid that. Why has that been got rid of? Why has the government not continued with things like pushing boats back? Why did we pay £500 million to the French and they effectively did nothing with it? You know, if you look at this and you're just an ordinary citizen, you look at this, if there isn't a plan to try and encourage this or to try and remove all of those things that push people back, whether it's, you know, pushing back on benefits or deporting to places like Rwanda. If it isn't a plan, it may just be incompetence.
Exactly.
But it is the most incompetent government in history, which is why small boat crossings have been near a record high last year.
Labour doesn't agree with immigration per se. Now, there's not much Matthew Stadler ever says that I agree with. However, I do have a feeling that Shabana Mahmood is softening her stance because of Burnham coming in. And that makes me really angry, because I thought she was the one minister in this government who had some gumption. And if she's doing all of this to save her job, well, she shouldn't be doing the job she's doing. It's shocking if she is. And if she's going to get some credibility back, she has to fight this. She has to fight this now.
Just to sort of come back to what Sir Jake was saying there a moment ago, I think I heard it come out of your mouth, Jake, and it is good to see you again. It's been a while. But I think I just heard the words come out of your mouth that we should be pushing boats back to France. Now, that is just truly, completely and utterly insane. It's just not going to happen. There is no way in the real world, if Nigel Farage is Prime Minister, Andy Burnham is Prime Minister, that unless the French say that we can take people immediately back, which, by the way, I think would be a good idea, it would stop this issue dead in its tracks or dead in the water. Unless the French say we can do that, there is absolutely no way that is going to happen. So let's scrub that.
Well, why, Matthew? Because, well, first of all, why? Is it just because you say so? I don't necessarily agree with you.
We're not going
but
to
also,
go to war
let's
with
not
the
forget
French,
that British authorities and British charities and organisations like the Lifeboat are going and picking these people up. In fact, British authorities are going into French territory. Let me finish. Are going into French territorial waters and collecting people. That's what is actually happening. So, you know, what do you say about that?
Any vessel that is at sea, as you know, under the rules of the sea, has not just a moral but a legal obligation to pick people up. Do you want people to drown in the Channel? Is that what you're telling?
No, I just want people not to come, Matthew. And if you're going to stop people coming, and you talk about Nigel Farage, let's have a proper government that is going to ensure when people arrive here in the UK, they are detained, taken to a processing centre and deported. Actually, that's what would have happened under the Rwanda deal. Your government, the Labour government, reversed that.
Right, Matthew Stanley,
I'm just going to respond to that very quickly. So first of all, the Rwanda deal, in my view, I can't promise you that it wouldn't have worked. It seemed to me to be a gimmick because it wouldn't have been able to take nearly enough people to Rwanda.
Well, it's a gimmick that lots of other European countries... Isn't everybody will talk forever?
If we could find a third country that is really going to take people on and that isn't effectively a dictatorship, then that might be a good idea. But
we found a third country.
Matthew, what's wrong with Rwanda? Just explain to me why Rwanda is so bad.
I opposed Rwanda for two reasons. Firstly, because I thought it was a gimmick and it simply wouldn't work. It was a waste of time. But also, I didn't like the idea of us sending people, many of whom are genuine asylum seekers, to a country where the president had got 99% of the vote. I didn't think that would be a hospitable place for them to be sent to. But the other issue, of course, is that people like Jake want us to believe that if we leave the ECHR, this is all going going to be solved overnight. It's unbelievably difficult.
It allows us to control our own borders.
Matthew, in your own words, in your own words, you said that if people push back, if people were sent back immediately, it would be dead in the water. Right. The whole migration thing would be dead in the water. So by actually turning the boats back or getting them on board your boat and taking them back, that would end it. So that would risk less lives, because fewer people would think that it was a good idea to come across that way anyway. So sometimes it worked with Australia. I know Australia's a slightly different scheme. But the reality is that if people... No, hold on. I've listened to you. You've talked a lot now. If people thought that they'd be brought straight back, then they wouldn't pay the smugglers, and that would be the end of a people trafficking billionaire, $1 billion or £1 billion organisation and a whole industry like Serco and all these other companies that are just quite happy for this to carry on because they're making an absolute fortune off the British taxpayer.
You know, these objections to Rwanda are farcical. Matthew, let someone else talk now, because you've had the whole show so far. This objection to Rwanda is farcical because it is one of the richest African countries now, one of the most successful countries. It's not dangerous. People go on holiday there all of the time. More than half of Rwanda's parliament is women. It's a very civilised place to be now. So all these objections are stupid. But if Rwanda was so stupid, why are countries now, all sorts of other countries, trying to send people to third countries to process? And
European countries. European countries.
European countries are now, there's been talk of them ignoring the ECHR.
Because I asked you what's wrong with Rwanda. I didn't hear a good enough answer. Let's be honest, Rwanda's murder rate and all that rate is a lot lower than this country. In fact, if you look at it, the stats make it safer than London. Parts of it safer than London.
Exactly.
So there were toxic fools on social media who were calling Keir Starmer a dictator, and there are now people who are suggesting that Andy Burnham's a dictator because he didn't take questions. Well, let me tell you, if you live in Rwanda, you live in a country where the bloke who's in charge has been in charge for a very, very long time, won, as I said, 99% of the vote. That's not my idea of a safe country. On your point, Nana, about France...
As opposed to a country that's had... How many prime ministers have we had in how many years?
Nana, on your point about France, let me just respond to the point about France, because I think it's really, really important that this is cleared up. I absolutely agree, because I made the point myself, that if France were to take people back immediately, if the French government said you can immediately take people back to France, the lifeboats or whoever, the Navy, pick them up, we take them back to France, obviously that would stop it. But the French are refusing to do that, as far as I know.
Matthew, isn't that the point?
Why did you bring in the thing about, oh, you want people to drown then, when Jake mentioned it? He didn't say that. I mean, that's what people do. It's just a cheap shot.
But can I just say, isn't that the point, Matthew? I think you've just acknowledged what a deterrent is. That if people couldn't come to the UK, they were taken straight back to France, they would stop coming. The point about Rwanda and third country processing is it's a deterrent. The minute you start doing it, they stop coming. And you believe that, and I believe that. So why did Keir Starmer and the Labour Party stop it?
Let's give Matthew Staben the last word, because
He's had all the words.
Well, not really.
Yes, he has.
You think he has?
Sorry.
Last word, you've got 10 seconds, Matthew.
I was called up 2 minutes before you went on air to respond. So actually, let's have a bit of civility, please. My point is this: this is not an easy thing to solve. Why I said that Jake might want people to drown, I'm sure he doesn't really. It's because you have to pick people up in the sea, and it seemed to me he was suggesting they shouldn't. If France has it within the palm of its hand to solve this, as I say. If you can find a decent third country, fine. But we haven't done that yet.
Well, you talk about civility and then you infer that Jake wants people to drown. So, I mean, you know, I think that's slightly hypocritical. But Matthew Staben, thank you very much. Thanks for your company. Well done. All right. Stay with us, because it's time for our brand new Great British giveaway and your chance to join in with our Golden Summer celebration. Yes, you could win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar over £5,000 worth. That's a gold that you can keep or give to a loved one and secure your financial future. Who would love that? I would. Here are the details.
We're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific two-part Great British giveaway. First, you could win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like this year. What would you do with that? And that's not all, as you'll also win our most precious prize to date, a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. It's pure gold to own, trade or gift to a loved one and secure their financial future. So make sure you don't don't miss your chance to bank over £65,000 worth of prizes in our Golden Summer celebration. For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck indeed. Coming up.
It's our flag, it belongs to us, and we will fly it for the values that we believe in.
Well then, how come you didn't put it up then for the World Cup match? Yes, Downing Street failed to get the bunting out for the World Cup. Is the Prime Minister a plastic patriot or just a hypocrite? That's next.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. We can allow.
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News,
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Good evening. This is Patrick Christys Tonight with me, Nana Acquair. Now, is the Prime Minister a plastic patriot? It's time now for our head-to-head. And in a break with a 16-year-long tradition, the Prime Minister has chosen not to fly the St George's Cross outside Downing Street for the World Cup. It became tradition under David Cameron, who insisted it flew for the duration of England's campaign in 2010. But Sir Keir Starmer has decided that Downing Street should only be decked out in St George's flags for the knockout rounds of the tournament. So tonight I'm asking, is the Prime Minister ashamed to be patriotic? Well, going head-to-head on this now are Conservative Minister Tom Pursglove and political strategist Pablo O'Hanna. All right, Tom, we'll start with you.
Massive own goal, isn't it? Which is very fitting, bearing in mind that this is about a football tournament. And the PM is supposed to be a football fan, so I find it extraordinary that he's not carried on that tradition that was the case under successive Prime Ministers, that we get behind our teams, we fly our flag with pride, we show that support, we lead the national debate, we lead the national conversation, we cheerlead for our football teams. This is our national game. We should be proud to do this. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And if you ask me, it just speaks to why this Prime Minister's time in office is up. Because on this sort of issue, he's completely tone deaf, got this completely wrong, and that's why he's having to do a big screeching U-turn.
I reckon if it was Arsenal, he might actually put a flag up because he quite likes Arsenal or be decked in Arsenal colours. What do you think, Pablo?
I mean, I actually agree. I do think that this is a known goal. And, you know, if I was advising him, I'd just be like, just put the flag up. But I do think, look, our country is more than a flag and a football. We're the greatest country in the world because, you know, we built a health service that welcomes everyone regardless of how much money they have. We're the greatest country because we're a world leader in human rights, because you get paid holiday when you're sick. You're supported, you don't lose your job. We have a strong, functioning democracy. Sure, it's not perfect, but we have peaceful transfers of power when many other countries don't. When Ukraine needed defending, we didn't just show up. We led first and unequivocally. When the world needs someone to stand on the right side of history, we do. We have a free press that can hold power to account. We are genuinely, I really believe, we're the greatest country in the world because of our scientists, our writers, musicians, actors, and yes, our footballers. All of these people are what make our country genuinely so extraordinary. But none of that has to do with the flag. Look, the flag is going up, and I just think we can probably take a bit of a breath. But what makes our country great is all of those things, and not just, you know, a couple of colours on some cloth.
But Pablo, we know that, and the flag is a united thing, isn't it? So it brings everyone together. It brings England together as one to support the national team. And he is the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and England is one of those countries within the United Kingdom, and that is where Downing Street is in London, the capital of the United Kingdom. So you would think that he would put the flag up. I mean, do you think maybe because it's his house, he's living there, that he can decide what flags go up?
I mean, I agree with you. I think it is a really bizarre move. And if I was advising him, I would, as I say, I would have said, just put the flags up. I just think it's a little bit of all the things going on right now. It feels like a bit of an odd thing to get so exercised about. But I agree. I mean, I would have put the flag up. I would advise him to put the flag up. I agree with you. I think it is something that unites our country. I do think, you know, I will just say that there are all these accusations of, you know, plastic patriotism and all sorts of stuff. But I think we need to be really careful that our flag is used to unite our country. And when I see our flag flying, and particularly when I was not living in the UK, you know, I would see the United Kingdom flag, or I'd see the Union flag, and I'd think, that's my country. I love seeing it when people are flying it as a sense, you know, to show why they're proud of our country and the things that bring us together.
But Pablo, the flag is clearly not being used as in a divisive manner. It's being used to support the country, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah, no, plenty of people are using the flag to divide our communities.
No, but on this occasion, that's not what it's been used for, and I don't even agree with that. But Tom, you respond.
This is intended to be hugely positive. I mean, you ran a story on the channel a few weeks ago about the sort of edicts to border force officers about wearing pin badges during the course of this tournament. I would say, if you were in the US, for example, obviously hosting this tournament, massively patriotic, they would find it utterly bizarre that we weren't making a virtue of this, that they wouldn't be able to relate to or understand why we weren't expressing national pride behind our teams. I think it would have been fantastic to have border force officers at our airports and at our ports with pin badges showing support. And across, you know, the public sector, across business, across our institutions, we should be proud of our country. And I think one of the things I would say about the left is that all too often there's this kind of coy embarrassment about our history, about our values, about our traditions. And you see that reflected in some of the policy choices that this government's made. When you look at things like Chagos, when you look at the issue of illegal migration and this kind of squeamishness about why would people be so concerned about this? Because they are, because it's ultimately totally unfair, goes completely against our values and all that sense of fairness that people rightly expect. And I'm afraid that that is just something that characterises the left of politics. And Keir Starmer has said regularly that the St George's flag has been seized by the far right. Well, this was a brilliant opportunity for him to seize it back and to seize the initiative and to exhibit that national pride in the heart of our democracy, showing that that's what our values are: democracy, freedom, national pride.
OK, so very briefly then, yes or no? I'll ask you first, Pablo. With this in mind, is Keir Starmer a plastic patriot?
No, I think...
yes or no? You said no, that's enough. Thank you.
He's a patriot like all of us.
No, that's enough. Tom Persiclove, is he a plastic patriot?
I think he's just tone deaf.
Yes or no?
I think that's the problem.
Yes
and I
or
think
no?
he is
No. Come on, you're
squeamish about elements of our values.
Yes or no? Is Keir Starmer a plastic patriot? What's wrong with the two of you? Yes or no?
No. I mean, I just think it's a horrible phrase.
No, you can't answer. No, go away. That's enough.
Phrase.
You're doing the politician thing. All right, thank you very much, Tom Persiclove and Pablo Ohana. Neither of them could answer a direct question. All right, a spokesperson for Number 10 said, well, Pablo did actually, he said that, no, he wasn't. The Prime Minister is incredibly proud to support England and to see the whole country more to come together behind the team. All right, well, stay with us because coming up...
Well, imagine no more. Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen, but don't ask me any questions because I'm not going to answer them. Andy Burnham, Britain's likely next Prime Minister, unveils his plan for the country, but he wouldn't answer any questions, and he's got absolutely no mandate whatsoever. Are we really going to have to suffer through 10 years of this nonsense? But before that...
It turns out appointing a spiteful class warrior as Education Secretary was a disaster.
Yeah, Bridget Phillipson's parents made a 900% profit on the sale of their council house. Is she a hypocritical class warrior? That is next.
Be nice to escape the grey.
Clear skies, here we come.
As clear as our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
The very hot weather in Western Europe is moving into the east and towards the Mediterranean, towards Italy as well as Greece through this next few days. Reasonably warm across the Canary Islands, 32 degrees for Tenerife on Tuesday. Temperatures closer to the lower 30s across Portugal, Spain and France. But for Italy and Greece, the high 30s approaching 40 degrees through the next few days, which brings with it a risk of thundery downpours. And that risk continues well into next week. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Rain will move into parts of the north and west through tonight. Cloudy and breezy night to come for most of us, particularly for western areas, and it will be feeling warmer by tomorrow morning, but quite a bit wetter for some of us as low pressures approaching from the Atlantic, introducing a weather front. Spells of wet weather are likely across parts of Northern Ireland and Scotland in particular. It's particularly more southwestern areas of Scotland and the central belt that will see the heaviest rain overnight tonight. Elsewhere, outbreaks of rain are likely. I think most of us are going to see at least some rain overnight, but very little across more southern areas. It's quite light rainfall. But with lots of cloud around, it is going to be a mild start to the day. Temperatures at least 15 degrees or higher by the morning. Plenty of cloud around across more northern areas. Some quite brisk southwesterly winds across more western areas of the southwest coast of Scotland. Lots of cloud around, heavy bursts of rain are expected as well. As I said, it's parts of the central belt where we're likely to see the heaviest rainfall through the day. Across more southern areas of the UK, it should be a relatively dry and bright start to the day. Not too much in the way of sunshine away from the very far southeast, but it is going to be a pretty bright day across more eastern areas. I don't think we'll see too much rain across the east. Elsewhere, a risk of showers, some of these heavy and thundery, particularly across parts of Northern Ireland and Scotland, as well as some areas of northern England. Some very heavy showers, perhaps across parts of North Wales too. Quite widely temperatures in the low 20s, 25 degrees, possible in the best of the sunshine sunshine across the south and east. Wednesday brings with it more cloud across the north and west, but another dry and bright day across more eastern areas, particularly through the morning. Risk of showers into the afternoon, but we're not expecting any thundery downpours through Wednesday. That rain then clears by Thursday to bring many of us a very sunny end to the week, with temperatures climbing once again to the higher 20s, with 30 degrees possible on the weekend. Bye-bye.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight with me, Nana Acquia. The Education Secretary, Bridget Phillipson, has been branded a class warrior hypocrite after it emerged that her family made a 900% profit on the sale of the former council house that she grew up in. But Labour's social housing bill will slash the number of families who are able to follow in her family's footsteps. Under the proposed changes, tenants would need to live in a property for 10 years instead of 3 before becoming eligible to buy it. And the maximum discount would also be reduced, starting at 5% and capped at 15%. Well, I'm joined now by estate agent and commentator Jeremy Leaf.
Hi, Nana.
Hello, Jeremy. All right, now, there's a couple of people I can think of who've benefited from the sale of a council house who are part of the Labour Party. Angela Rayner, of course, she had a council house and then she made, I think it was a £45,000 profit. And then Bridget Phillipson, whose council house went up by 900%, so they made money there too. What do you make of the idea that you would extend, first of all, the time that you could qualify and then cap the amount that you could then have a reduction in terms of the sale price?
Well, like most things, there's 3 sides to this story. The other side of the Bridget Phillipson is actually some of the properties that are being sold off are actually probably good to be sold off because the charges are high, they need a lot of work doing to it, and run down areas and so on. So in some ways, that's a good one, but not this one. But the real side is, what have successive governments done with the money? They just haven't built enough other houses to do anything about it. And to really make a difference, particularly for affordable housing. I mean, the good news is they are changing the rules, so it will be more difficult to do it in future.
Well, I mean, one part of it, I think, yeah, you need to live in there for longer to be able to qualify to sell it. I don't think that's a bad thing at all, because it means that people will have to stay in situ. Rather than 3 years, it could be just deployed to get a house, so you can... But the other side of it is they had a plan to build 1.5 million houses, and if they don't get on with that... I mean, it's about supply and demand. We don't have the housing stock anyway.
Yeah, we're so far behind, and particularly in London, it's really a shame. I mean, they have made some efforts, and I don't think they perhaps realised it when they said it, how big a task this is going to be. I mean, planning is a little bit better and so on, and other rules have been softened a little bit, but it will take time, and I don't think it's going to be in this Parliament.
But she's a hypocrite, though, isn't she, Bridget Phillipson? Surely, because she's benefited from a scheme that now she's literally closing the door on for other people, or making it much more difficult for others to follow in her footsteps.
Well, she hasn't broken any rules, that's for sure, as far as it is. But unfortunately, in certain cases, some of these profits are just ridiculous. And that highlights yet again that these supernormal profits need to be changed. And what's going to happen almost certainly is that Andy Burnham's wish list is taxing people where they live, and these sort of situations will be going higher up that list, and we're going to see change probably sooner rather than later.
And what about the plan that we heard about? Nothing has really been said about it, but there was murmurings that they were looking to tax capital gains even more. So, of course, that would apply quite heavily to property. Yeah.
It is an interesting one because it's been mooted quite a lot lately. I think the big issue, any of these measures that have been talked about, is don't reduce or compromise the number of transactions, because every economy needs to see properties bought and sold. It's good for job and social mobility. It's good not just for the property industry, it's good for the economy. And if people are thinking twice about moving, that's going to put a stop on it, and we're not going to see any of the activity, and the revenue is going to come down.
Well, I mean, so far, because they reduced the levy, the level for stamp duty, thinking that they would make more money, because they're thinking, oh, well, if we reduce the amount that at the point where stamp duty is applied, we're going to make more money. Of course, people stopped buying and selling houses. This is exactly what happened, and they actually took less money than they would have had they left it as it was. So, again, it's almost as though they haven't got a clue.
Well, politics, unfortunately, is very important in all these things, and sometimes political dogma doesn't sell houses, and it doesn't produce the revenue that the government need to finance their aspirations.
So would you say, what would you say would be the best move? Obviously, I think the first thing is build more houses. But what about the notion that we need new council house stock and that people shouldn't really be able to sell them?
Actually, I think the biggest issue is the shortage of affordable housing, whether it's to rent, shared ownership or to buy. That's the biggest issue. And if we can see more of that, that will have an impact on the rest of the market. But of course, again, even a so-called social or affordable housing is often financed by larger private schemes, and you mustn't lose sight of that.
And even when it is affordable, then somebody gets in it and sells it at an astronomical price, and then it joins all the others. Thank you very much, Jeremy. That is Jeremy Leaf. He's an estate agent and a commentator. Thank you very much. All right, well, the spokesperson for Bridget Phillipson said that the nasty party is back, and this time it's on steroids. The Conservatives' vile smear campaign against yet another northern working-class woman tells you everything you need to know. They hate working-class people that do well. Like their electoral bedfellows, Reform UK, they have nothing to offer this country but rancour and division. No amount of smears or hateful personal attacks is going to stop Bridget Phillipson delivering better life chances for working-class families denied opportunity by 14 years of Tory austerity. All right, coming up.
Well, imagine no more. Let's make it happen.
Andy Burnham's Britain is Britain's likely next Prime Minister. We think he is. He's unveiling his plan for the country, but he wouldn't answer any questions, and he's got absolutely no mandate whatsoever. Are we really going to have to suffer through 10 years of all of this nonsense? But first, some NHS hospitals are ignoring the Supreme Court's landmark gender ruling. I'll reveal all next.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
But there's a huge amount of psychological evidence. There's lots of theories about when people make decisions and follow them with actions, their behaviour becomes consistent with the choice they made. So if you get married, you're more likely to see each other with rose-tinted spectacles, that kind of thing. The signal value of marriage is absolutely huge. I was talking to a young couple who are newly engaged just the other day, and they said it was amazing how it actually changed the way that they felt about their relationship. So it does provide extra security, and doing it in front of your friends makes a huge difference as well. It holds you to account. So there's a huge psychology behind the act of marriage. So it would be weird if there wasn't any effect at all. I found that your family background, so your age, your education, income, affects about half of your chance of staying together.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
The art world has lost its darling, probably the most respected, celebrated, influential artist of the 20th and 21st century. And as you say, career spanning 7 decades, whether you're looking at his portraits or his Californian swimming pools or his spectacular Yorkshire landscapes, he made art for the people. The art world can be a rather snobby place, which is unfortunate at times, but he made art for the people. If you think about the portraits, the people that he painted, whether it be Mr. and Mrs. Ossie Clark, the fashion designer, and Percy the cat, or Harry Styles, or a portrait of his carer.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, I'm going to try and explain what SpaceX is. It's set to become one of the most valuable companies in the world. But it's not just about rockets. Everyone will be aware. OK, well, it'd be really nice if Elon Musk could could help us out with our tech here, because I'm trying to draw a rocket and we're not able to. What is going on? I'm so sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm afraid our very own. Let's see. No, we're not. I'll try and explain what's going on with SpaceX without any visual aids. How disappointing! It's three companies really. It's a rocket company, it's a communications company, and it's an AI company, all in one. It controls 84% of the commercial launch market in this country.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight with me, Nana Aquia. And some NHS hospitals are continuing to allow biological men who identify as transgender women to use female-only spaces, which includes bathrooms. This is absolutely absurd. West London NHS Trust has told patients they may use single-sex facilities according to their legal gender. So biological men with a gender recognition certificate will be able to access female-only wards. And the policy remains in place despite last year's Supreme Court ruling, which concluded that the definition of woman under the Equality Act is based on biological sex. Well, I'm joined now by journalist Janet Murray. Janet, what is going on? I mean, I'm sick and tired of... Why is there this resistance? You're a bloke, you're a man, no amount of lipstick, wigs or whatever will change your biology. And now a Supreme Court ruling has come out and told you that. And now sex will be based on biology. It's that straightforward, isn't it?
It should be straightforward, and it's just incredible, really, that more than a year after the Supreme Court ruling, we find out that West London NHS Trust is basically letting people self-identify into spaces that should be for women. But that's actually not the worst part of the story, because this came out as part of a much bigger piece of research, which a group of basically like mum researchers who met on they met on Mumsnet, and they're also part of a group called Seen in Health, and they've been looking at this since last year. They looked at, there's more than 200 NHS trusts, they looked at them last year. They came back and had another look just recently to see whether any of these trusts have updated their policies. Only a handful have, and actually West London was one of those that has updated it, but it's updated it incorrectly. And you just find yourself thinking, like, how difficult is this? The Supreme Court ruling was really clear that when it comes to equality law, we're talking about biological sex, not gender. There's no such thing as a legal gender. So it's just extraordinary, really.
Well, what is the point of it then? Why is there a resistance in your view?
Oh, I remember being asked this question in an interview at the end of last year, and I do wonder if you find yourself wondering whether they don't understand the law, but presumably NHS trusts have access to good lawyers. I've often wondered whether it's a case of people having to walk back policies, or they don't want to lose face. They've been telling people that it's okay to self-ID into spaces for how many years or whatever. It's just, honestly, I'm not even sure what it's about, because they certainly should have access to good legal advice, and I do wonder if it's a reticence to admit that they were wrong and to walk back policies and have conversations with people that are quite difficult.
Janet, I'm so sorry, because we're running out of time, but I can't fathom what the problem is and why they won't do it. I just find it a bit absurd. Janet Murray, thank you very much. She's a journalist. Well, a spokesperson for the West London NHS Trust said our policy is a temporary version while we await national NHS guidance that reflects the Supreme Court ruling, and we've used legal advice to help make sure that we balance the rights of each protected individual or group while maintaining our ability to provide safe and effective care. Right, all right, well, stay with us. Coming up, Britain's next Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, has unveiled his plan for the country, but he wouldn't answer any questions, and he's got absolutely no mandate. Are we really going to have to suffer through 10 years of this nonsense? All of that and tomorrow's newspapers in just a few minutes.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption.
Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Rain will move into parts of the north and west through tonight. Cloudy and breezy night to come for most of us, particularly for western areas, and it will be feeling warmer by tomorrow morning, but quite a bit wetter for some of us as low pressures approaching from the Atlantic, introducing a weather front. Spells of wet weather are likely across parts of Northern Ireland and Scotland in particular. It's particularly more southwestern areas of Scotland and the central belt that will see the heaviest rain overnight tonight. Elsewhere, outbreaks of rain are likely. I think most of us are going to see at least some rain overnight, but very little across more southern areas. It's quite light rainfall. But with lots of cloud around, it is going to be a mild start to the day. Temperatures at least 15 degrees or higher by the morning. Plenty of cloud around across more northern areas. Some quite brisk southwesterly winds across more western areas of the southwest coast of Scotland. Lots of cloud around, heavy bursts of rain are expected as well. As I said, it's parts of the central belt where we're likely to see the heaviest rainfall through the day. Across more southern areas of the UK, it should be a relatively dry and bright start to the day. Not too much in the way of sunshine away from the very far southeast, but it is going to be a pretty bright day across more eastern areas. I don't think we'll see too much rain across the east. Elsewhere, a risk of showers, some of these heavy and thundery, particularly across parts of Northern Ireland and Scotland, as well as some areas of northern England. Some very heavy showers, perhaps across parts of North Wales too. Quite widely temperatures in the low 20s, 25 degrees, possible in the best of the sunshine across the south and east. Wednesday brings with it more cloud across the north and west, but another dry and bright day across more eastern areas, particularly through the morning. Risk of showers into the afternoon, but we're not expecting any thundery downpours through Wednesday. That rain then clears by Thursday to bring many of us a very sunny end to the week, with temperatures climbing once again to the higher 20s, with 30 degrees possible on the weekend. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the Great British Giveaway Golden Summer Celebration. Your chance to win 2 fantastic prizes. There's an incredible £60,000 in tax-free cash. Plus, you'll also get your hands on a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK. Oh, thank you.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday Five.
You got me. You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable. What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Good evening, it is 10 o'clock. I'm Nana Acquia, in for Patrick Christys tonight.
Westminster hasn't been working for people, and it hasn't been working for a very long time. In fact, it is broken. I am going to give Britain the circuit breaker it needs.
Andy Burnham unveiled his big vision for Britain today.
Well, imagine no more. Let's make it happen.
But he ran scared of answering any questions and instead...
I left the north again, I travelled south again. Well, there's a bit of a Smith's lyric there for you.
He just had to remind us how northern he is. Also tonight... fears that the Chinese mega embassy could be used as a prison. I'll have all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages and breaking news on the front page of The Independent. Burnham's North Star to light up Labour. On my panel tonight, Daily Express columnist Carol Malone, Reform Party member Sir Jake Berry, and he's finally made it into the studio, journalist Benjamin Butterworth. Get ready, Britain, here we go. Andy Burnham has got no mandate. That's next. But first, your latest news headlines with Sophia Hill.
Nana, thank you. A very good evening. These are your latest headlines at 10 o'clock. Resident doctors in England have voted to accept an offer from the government to improve pay and working conditions. The offer includes more training jobs, faster pay progression, and a plan to cover out-of-pocket expenses like exam fees. Patients have seen hundreds of thousands of appointments cancelled due to industrial action over the past few years. Health Secretary James Murray praised the doctors' decision to end their current strike action.
This helps to move us forward from a cycle of ongoing strikes which have been going on for far too long and have cost the country billions of pounds. The cost of the offer on the table is less than the cost of another week of strikes, so it's good value for money for taxpayers, as well as being good news for NHS staff and, crucially, for patients, because it means we can now work with resident doctors to build an NHS that is fit for the future.
Andy Burnham has promised to give the UK a new direction and fix what he called a fragmented and disjointed Westminster.
I am going to give Britain the circuit breaker it needs.
In his first major speech since announcing he's running for Labour leadership, he set out plans for the biggest transfer of power out of Whitehall in modern times. So-called Number 10 North would devolve power to Manchester and give more money and control to other regions. The new Labour MP for Makerfield says it's all part of a 10-year plan to raise living standards across the UK. But Deputy Leader of the Liberal Democrats, Daisy Cooper, wasn't entirely convinced by his speech.
Well, it was high on vibes and low on detail. And the reality is that Andy Burnham has a very small window within which to turn things around for the Labour Party and to turn things around for the country. We want to see meat on the bones as soon as possible.
Sir Keir Starmer has reaffirmed Britain's commitment to NATO, meeting Secretary-General Mark Rutte in Downing Street ahead of next week's summit in Ankara. It comes as the government unveils its biggest defence shake-up in years, with the Royal Navy ditching destroyers in favour of drone command ships. The Defence Investment Plan brings an extra £14.5 billion in funding, though critics say it falls well short of what's needed. 6 people have been killed after a gunman opened fire at a shelter for mothers and children in northern Germany. The shooting happened at a facility in Stade, near Hamburg, where a 45-year-old man had an appointment in connection with a child custody dispute. All 6 victims were employees of the shelter, and the suspected shooter is now in custody, along with 2 women. Actress Dame Penelope Keith has died at the age of 86. She started her career on the stage and joined the Royal Shakespeare Company in 1963, but became a household name for her work in sitcoms. She was best known for her roles as Margot Ledbetter in The Good Life, for which she won a BAFTA. Her family said she passed away peacefully at home after living with cancer. Those are the latest GB News headlines for now. More from me in an hour, but now it's back to Nana.
You can now watch GB News live across the United States of America and the world on Truth Plus. Scan the QR code to find out more, or visit gbnews.com/truth.
Good evening. Today, our future Prime Minister Andy Burnham stood up in Manchester and unveiled his grand vision for Britain, moving the centre of political power out of Westminster and creating what he called Number 10 North.
Westminster hasn't been working for people, and it hasn't been working for a very long time. In fact, it is broken. I am going to give Britain the circuit breaker it needs. By building a more collaborative politics in Westminster, by taking power out of the centre and putting it in the hands of the people and places who can use it best. The change will be driven through the Prime Minister's office in an extended operation based here in Manchester.
Yeah, big promises. But here's the real issue for me. Who actually gave him the authority to do any of this?
Burnham Andrew Murray, commonly known as Andy Burnham, the Labour and Cooperative Party, 24,900. And I do hereby declare that Andy Burnham is duly elected. Thank you.
24,927 residents of Makerfield. That's the extent of his authority. So as things stand, Andy Burnham doesn't have a public mandate for this agenda. He hasn't fought a general election on it. The British people haven't voted for it. Yet he's talking about rewiring the British state as though it's a done deal, as though the country has already signed on the dotted line. You might agree that Britain is too centralised. You might think that more power should go to the regions. That's a perfectly legitimate argument. But changing where power sits in the country is a massive constitutional shift. It changes how Britain is governed. Surely that's something that the public should have a direct say on. And then there was something else that really stood out to me.
Well, imagine no more. Let's make it happen.
Yes, after delivering that huge speech with courage and conviction, he then took no questions from journalists. None. Now, if you're asking the country to trust you with sweeping constitutional change, surely the very least you can do is spend half an hour explaining your ideas under questioning. That's not an unreasonable expectation. But the problem is, for Burnham, that it gets a lot harder when someone asks, how much will it cost? Who pays? What happens if it doesn't work? Now, those are exactly the kind of questions that journalists are there to ask, and those are exactly the questions Burnham seemed to want to avoid. Instead, all we got was a frankly embarrassing video posted on social media after the speech.
I left the north again, I travelled south again. Well, there's a bit of a Smiths lyric there for you.
Yeah, that's our future leader, our future Prime Minister. If we're talking Smith's lyrics, Andy, I've got another one for you. Stop me if you think you've heard this one before.
I'm back in London after the speech, pleased with how Number 10 North has gone down. You know, what it'll mean in future is that everybody doesn't have to come down here to have a serious conversation with the government. If you think about it, a North Pole to the South Pole, it'll just make the country feel more balanced. I hope you're excited by it. I'm certainly excited by it. The whole idea is Number 10 North is a conduit to get power out into the country, every single part of it, and get growth going everywhere. So yeah, come on everyone, get on board with it, and let's make it happen. Good growth in every postcode, hope in every heart. That's our mission.
Whatever you think of Andy Burnham's vision, one principle should unite everyone. Major changes to how Britain is governed should come with a clear democratic mandate, and Politicians asking for that kind of power should be prepared to answer difficult questions about it. All right, but let's get the thoughts of my panel. Daily Express columnist Carol Malone, Reform UK member Sir Jake Berry, and journalist and broadcaster Benjamin Butterworth, who's finally arrived. So I'm going to start with you, Benjamin.
Oh.
We have to, yes. OK, so Andy Burnham, all confident, giving it the big one, you know, all and laughing and being jokey and number 10 the North and all this thing. But he doesn't really have a mandate, does he? I mean, let's be honest.
Well, I mean, this is the first change of leader in recent years, except for the general election, where the public has been directly involved. He was actually specifically put in by the voters to Makerfield with the hope this would happen.
24,000 people.
So, which is
many
more than Liz Truss or Rishi Sunak got. So I'd say that's direct democracy.
The members of their party voted for it.
And, of course, 8 Conservative Prime Ministers came in with without general election, Jake,
Listen,
several of which you were involved in.
But let's not go back there, because they were useless. That's why the Labour Party managed to slip in under the radar. So I think we all agree with that. All right, so, Benjamin, so why do you not think that with that he couldn't even answer any questions, he ran off?
Well, he didn't run off. It was pre-planned. It didn't at all, because it was pre-planned that this would be the order of his speech, so there was no running required. But I was actually really inspired by him. You know, last week I sat here not quite sure, but what happened this week was that we saw that he's trying to answer some of the major questions we have. You know, geographical inequality and generational inequality are at the centre of the problems that we have in this country. I think the geographical point is why people voted Brexit. And he was talking about the fact that in so many towns across the country, they have not been a part of the decision-making process, and they're going to get more power. He was talking about the fact that council housing means that people could work incredibly hard.
If you were old enough, you would know he's been talking about this for the past 30 years. This is his mantra. If this guy wants 10 years to fix this country, why doesn't he draft a manifesto, call an election and let the British people decide whether they want what he's selling? Because I can guarantee they won't. This bloke has no mandate beyond Makerfield. 24,000 people.
Well, that's any MP.
No, it's not. Yeah, but he's now selling himself as Prime Minister.
But he will be Prime Minister.
It is grossly presumptuous to tell us he's going to change this country. This is a bloke...
Well, you want him not to change the country.
Yeah, but not the way he's talking about. This is a bloke half the country has never heard of, and the half that have, people of my generation, wouldn't have him gift-wrapped as a Prime Minister, because we remember him in government, and he was worse than useless.
That's nonsense.
It is not
He was
nonsense.
Health Secretary.
Yes, and do you know what he did?
At the end of it, we had the highest approval rating for the NHS in history.
Thousands of people died in Staffordshire.
We had the North Staffs Hospital crisis, where 1,200 people needlessly died because he didn't act.
I'm not surprised people like you that rally for reform.
This is tosh.
I'm not surprised people that rally for reform are terrified, because actually there was a major poll out last week.
No one's terrified.
Let him finish.
That found on every measure people prefer Andy Burnham to Nigel Farage.
No, they don't.
So look, your right-wing utopia is falling apart.
So what he's promising is local mayors, giving power and money to local mayors. And what's going to happen when they cock it up? Because they will. We've seen what's happened in loads of local authorities all over the country. You know what's
don't trust people to run areas where they live.
No, I don't.
So
and they're
you spent 40 years in London. What do we expect?
Let me finish my point. Let me finish my point. And they're going to be bailed out. They're going to be bailed out by Westminster.
All right, Jake Berry.
So I actually think there's quite a lot, if you listen to the speech, which it would be hard to be against. You know, would I like to see more jobs and growth in the North? I mean, of course I would. I've lived and worked in the North most of my life. I was Northern Powerhouse Minister in the last government. There was just no how we're going to do it. And if we talk about the things that he did say, he said that we're going to look at more nationalisation of the energy industry, not in the Labour Party's manifesto. We note that during the campaign he said that he wanted to get closer back to Brussels, and ultimately, although I know he said he changed his mind halfway through the campaign, he'd like to see us rejoin the European Union, not in the Labour Party's manifesto. He says that he wants to completely fragment, and this is something I don't support, educational standards across the country. Ultimately, his vision, it's hard to tell what it would be, sounds like that if you go to a vocational college in Dorset, you might get a different qualification than if you go to one in Derby. Well, that doesn't make sense, because we've got one economy, everyone needs the same skills. So lots of the things he said he wants to set out to do today, even if you accept that he doesn't need to hold a general election because the Labour Party won the last one, which they did spectacularly well, he has no mandate. It wasn't in the manifesto. And the point you made, which is absolutely right, that if you want this sort of real change, you should go back to the electorate and ask for it. And the final point to make about number 10 North, the most eye-catching announcement, those of us who've been around for a while will remember Rishi Sunak, another slightly plastic northerner, a bit like Andy Burnham. Rishi Sunak setting up the well, because he was a New Yorkshire MP, I think he was a real plastic northerner, moved part of the Treasury to Darlington. He took 2,000 civil servants and he based them in Darlington, the Treasury North. What difference did it make? No. Zero. And in fact, Andy Burnham, when Push said, by journalists afterwards, his team said, look, I'm going to spend 1 day a week in number 10 North. Rishi Sunak spent 2 days a week in Treasury North, even when he was Prime Minister. No one knew about it. It made no difference.
I want to get Benjamin's response to that.
Well, I do think that one of the problems we have is that so many decisions are made in London that, first of all, it overlooks many other parts of the country, but secondly, it fails to take the kind of good ideas that come from outside the bubble. And I think, given how poorly the same ideas seem to be performing, it can only be a good thing to be going to these other regions and nations.
That's what MPs are for.
But
there's MPs in every part of the country.
He's going back to Manchester.
But listen, if he...
But Manchester has the highest growth of anywhere in Britain.
Everything he said today, what was his solution for the £3 trillion debt? What was his solution for defence?
Good growth.
Immigration.
Good growth. That's just words. Burnham...
No one wants bad growth.
Really not all of Burnham, all he ever does is spout words. He has no plan. Yeah. There was no flesh on the bones of anything that he said, and that's how he'll be. And as for him not answering questions, to me that is vital, because what's clear to me, none of these things are planned. They're not costed. They're not sorted out. This is a bloke who's not ready because he thought Starmer was going to stay till September. So he doesn't actually have a plan. What he has is a grand idea, and there's no flesh on the bones of any of it, and he's just trying to win people round. The number 10 in Manchester is preposterous, because the seat of our democracy is Westminster.
You think London knows everything?
No, that's not what I said.
You said earlier you can't trust anyone outside London because they'll fail.
I don't trust a local mayor to run a city.
Well, look, I think the thing is,
well, I'm afraid Andy Burnham believes in the people more than you.
We know it won't work because it's been tried before, and it failed before.
Yes.
And actually, Andy Burnham, we get it. We saw the election result. He's got the Manchester vote sewn up, OK? I accept that. He's got it sewn up. He's really well liked in Manchester. I've got loads of friends there. They really like him no matter who they vote for. If you live in Cornwall, in the far coast, or if you live in Blaenau Gwent in South Wales, or you live in the far northeast, what is more government spending and growth going to Manchester do for you? He will be a Prime Minister for the cities, but most people in this country don't live in a city. The whole agenda is about driving cities. What if you live in rural Wales? What if you live in rural Scotland? He's got no ideas for those people.
Where has devolution worked?
Yeah,
look at Scotland. Look at Scotland. Look at both a disaster. Both countries a disaster. The health service, the education service in both Wales and Scotland. In Wales, 5-year-old kids, 25% of 5-year-old kids are leaving primary as illiterates. They can't read or write. Now, the education system is in the toilet. It hasn't worked.
I mean, this is extraordinary that you don't think
it's not extraordinary. It hasn't worked. The record is there.
The voters can make their own mind up as they have in other areas. Look at Greater Manchester. There is an example of devolution working.
No, it isn't.
It has the highest growth of anywhere in the UK, and its decisions are closer to the problems.
Have you looked at what Andy Burnham actually did, apart from the fact he gave free buses? Have you looked at
It's not free buses. He managed to join up the whole area so that it has so it has like London an Oyster card system, which has cut the cost of getting to work and school for a large number of people.
That's a great example of what he did. Now, I was the minister who negotiated that deal with him. So I can tell you, of all the powers that Andy Burnham has, and he said today he didn't have enough, he did have one power that he never, ever used. In fact, when I asked him, he refused to use it. That was the power to raise taxes locally as a business rate. Because actually, if you look at the buses in Manchester, I'm really pleased that young people in Manchester can get cheap buses.
Well, who's paying for it?
But why should people in Lancashire, just over the border, be the people who are paying for it? And the problem with devolution in this country, I actually disagree with Carol, the problem with this devolution in England particularly isn't that we have too much of it. It's actually, in my view, that we don't have enough of it. This is why I agree with Andy Burnham. But devolution, Nana, will truly work when you have to raise the money you spend. When you create... So if Reform had won the election in Wales, people in Wales would have had a 1p cut off every single band of income tax.
look at the
devolution works when you're responsible for what you do.
What it has done, I think, is fragmented everything. So each place, so Wales is fragmented. If you look at Scotland, that's fragmented. Then eventually the parts want to escape each other. So then you end up with a situation where
I'm not sure.
I think so. Where you end up with you're creating division. So you end up with Scotland wanting to be independent. You end up with Wales wanting to be independent. You end up with Ireland, maybe Northern Ireland wanting to join the Republic. It hasn't worked.
Nationalism, and it's done the total.
I don't agree with that, because another way of saying that is particularly with
things that work.
Well, particularly with things like tax. If you create tax competition between regions, so if your income tax is lower in Wales than it is in Manchester, you might choose to start your business in Wales. It's worked all over the world. This is what they have in the United States with a federal system. It's actually what they have in Australia.
But we haven't
and what
got
you
a federal
find,
system.
but that's what Andy Burnham's proposing to move towards. And what you actually find is the minute you give mayors the ability to cut taxes, and they use it, or to raise taxes and they become more expensive, they drive economic growth properly.
It's all very well, but he has a country to fix first. He's got massive problems, not devolution, in this country. The debt, the burgeoning benefits bill, out of control immigration. We have no defence. He's not going to fix it. You think a local mayor's going to fix defence of the $3 trillion
The whole
debt?
point is that we have relied on one type of growth, which is sort of financial services and consulting, which do fantastically well. But so many other industries in this country, which are outside of London and the South East, have not had the chance to grow. And the fact is that there'll be lots of people, whether they're in Doncaster or Newcastle, they'll be saying the problems we've got here, we don't have the power to fix, and we know better than someone in Whitehall.
Why did he not say anything about the small boats? I mean, like, everyone's sitting there waiting for him to say something relevant. What about immigration? He never even touched on it, didn't mention it, and that's not good enough. That's not good enough.
I mean, he has said prior to this speech...
It's a big problem in this country.
He has said prior to this speech that he thinks immigration should be lower. But look, you know, small boat crossings are down 37% under the Labour government. So let's hope they keep on going with that.
The real question I asked myself after that speech is, what is the point of Andy Burnham?
Yes.
Because if you look at what he wants to do, he wants to give all the power of the Prime Minister away, about half, to mayors, and the rest of it he wants to give back to Europe. So what is the point of Andy Burnham? What his job is he actually going to do? He wants to give defence, everything to Europe.
So no one can blame him when it all goes wrong. He doesn't have ultimate responsibility for anything if he gives the power away.
Well, it would have been better if he'd answered some questions or
we might have been able to find what the point of Andy Burnham is.
If he could have defended his position, we would have all had a bit more respect for him.
How gutless is that?
But I think even Matthew Stadlen was saying that he should have stayed to answer questions, so you know. That's even Matthew Stadlen. All right, well, listen, it's time now, though, for our brand new Great British Giveaway. Your chance to win our Golden Summer Celebration, £60,000 in tax-free cash, a £5,000 worth gold bar. All of that could be yours. Here are the details.
We're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific two-part Great British Giveaway. First, you could win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like this year. What would you do with that? And that's not all, as you'll also win our most precious prize to date, a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. It's pure gold to own, trade or gift to a loved one and secure their financial future. So make sure you don't miss your chance to bank over £65,000 worth of prizes in our Golden Summer Celebration. For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck indeed. Coming up, I've got all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages and breaking news on the front page of The Telegraph. Junior doctors pay to hit £100,000. Plus, some massive breaking news from the government on asylum reforms. But before that, there are massive fears tonight that the Chinese mega embassy could be used as a prison. I'll reveal all next.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way.
You will not want to miss it, trust me. The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christys tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers
have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
We can allow.
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good evening and welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight with me, Nana Akweer. And China's planned mega embassy in London could be used to detain dissidents, according to a new warning from Taiwan. The controversial embassy, approved by the government in January, will be China's largest diplomatic mission in Europe and includes an underground complex to be built alongside sensitive communication cables. Now, Taiwan's envoy to the UK has raised concerns that these chambers beneath the complex could be used as a detention facility, allowing Beijing to target dissidents living overseas. Well, joining me now is senior analyst at the Interparliamentary Alliance on China, Cheng-Shuang Huang. Hello, Chung. Welcome to the programme. All right, so listen. So this embassy, apparently presumably they're dismissing these claims that it could be a prison. What are they saying that these underground chambers will be used for?
They actually haven't said anything about what these rooms are for. They are saying, oh, we're going to build this. We're giving you a certain degree of transparency, even though not all. But believe us, it will all be fine, even though we already know that some of the rooms are like in very close proximity to very sensitive cables that taxpayers' money are now being used to kind of reroute them so that things would be safe. So all in all, the Chinese government is saying that trust us, but whether or not their words mean anything, I think a lot of people around the world will be able to tell you, no, their words mean nothing.
And do we know, like, if they're using their own contractors to build it and how long it might take them to do that?
I don't know whether or not they will be using their own contractors, but it is very likely, as you can look at how other Chinese embassies are being built in other countries. And right now, because there's a judicial review ongoing about this mega embassy, so nothing has started yet. So no construction work has been formally contracted at this stage. So we don't know. But in past experience, it's very likely that the Chinese government will offer those jobs and those projects to Chinese contractors for safety reasons, as they will say.
Yeah, I should imagine. And in terms of how long it will take.
Yeah, they're usually very quick. Like if you go to China right now, you see like many buildings are being built quite quickly. And it's actually a bit sarcastic because it takes ages for things to be built in Britain, but I think they will be able to do a very quick job.
I was going to say, yeah, perhaps we could learn a thing or two, especially if it does turn out to be a prison. Perhaps we could get them to build a couple here. But look, I mean, seriously, should we be concerned that they are building this massive embassy in the heart of London around very important cables that are connected to the city?
Everybody should be worried, not only Hong Kongers or, as you said, Taiwanese or dissidents criticizing China. I think the presence of this big embassy in the heart of London pose a threat to everybody in terms of surveillance, in terms of espionage, and of course to the cables, because it is our intelligence service have already said it is impossible to mitigate all risks. So knowing that China has been posing threats to the free society that we live in, it's actually still beyond me to be able to understand why the government thinks it is a good idea to grant permission at the first place.
Yeah, but you could argue that already in your mobile phone and everything else you're aware of using, everything's made in China. A lot of these electrical components, things that are tracking where we are and what we're doing and what we're saying are coming from China, and quite happily we're paying for those things and giving our information quite freely.
I think that is to a certain extent true, but that doesn't mean we have to make things worse, do we? And there are still a lot of other options when it comes to daily commodities as well. Like there are things that are made in Britain, created by British brands that we can still purchase. And by having all of the consumers making that conscious decisions, we are choosing things that are made in Britain or more privacy friendly in general. We will be able to create a new demand and a new market for those goods that everybody would be able to enjoy. And slowly but surely, we can move away from the current systematic dependency on China.
Well, wouldn't that be great? I think everyone would agree with that. If only we'd invest in our own industry, in our own country. Thank you very much. Really good to talk. Good to talk to you, Chang-Ching Huang. She's a senior analyst at the Inter-Parliamentary Alliance on China. Well, a Chinese embassy spokesperson dismissed the claim, saying such remarks are completely baseless and constitute malicious slander. Well, coming up, I've got all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages and breaking news on the front page of The Telegraph. Junior doctors paid to hit £100,000. Plus, some massive breaking news from the government on asylum reforms. All of that and much more to come in just a few minutes.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
The very hot weather in Western Europe is moving into the east and towards the Mediterranean, towards Italy as well as Greece through this next few days. Reasonably warm across the Canary Islands, 32 degrees for Tenerife on Tuesday. Temperatures close to the lower 30s across Portugal, Spain and France. But for Italy and Greece, the high 30s approaching 40 degrees through the next few days, which brings with it a risk of thundery downpours. And that risk continues well into next week. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Rain will move into parts of the north and west through tonight. Cloudy and breezy night to come for most of us, particularly for western areas, and it will be feeling warmer by tomorrow morning, but quite a bit wetter for some of us as low pressures approaching from the Atlantic, introducing a weather front. Spells of wet weather are likely across parts of Northern Ireland and Scotland in particular. It's particularly more southwestern areas of Scotland and the central belt that will see the heaviest rain overnight tonight Elsewhere, outbreaks of rain are likely. I think most of us are going to see at least some rain overnight, but very little across more southern areas. It's quite light rainfall. But with lots of cloud around, it is going to be a mild start to the day. Temperatures at least 15 degrees or higher by the morning. Plenty of cloud around across more northern areas. Some quite brisk southwesterly winds across more western areas of the southwest coast of Scotland. Lots of cloud around, heavy bursts of rain are expected as well. As I said, it's parts of the central belt where we're likely to see the heaviest rainfall through the day. Across more southern areas of the UK, it should be a relatively dry and bright start to the day. Not too much in the way of sunshine away from the very far southeast, but it is going to be a pretty bright day across more eastern areas. I don't think we'll see too much rain across the east. Elsewhere, a risk of showers, some of these heavy and thundery, particularly across parts of Northern Ireland and Scotland, as well as some areas of northern England. Some very heavy showers, perhaps across parts of North Wales too. Quite widely, temperatures in the low 20s, 25 degrees, possible in the best of the sunshine across the south and east. Wednesday brings with it more cloud across the north and west, but another dry and bright day across more eastern areas, particularly through the morning. Risk of showers into the afternoon, but we're not expecting any thundery downpours through Wednesday. That rain then clears by Thursday to bring many of us a very sunny end to the week, with temperatures climbing once again to the higher 20s, with 30 degrees possible on the weekend. Bye-bye.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches,
from football to tennis, in the car,
in the kitchen,
GB News Breakfast is there. With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Good evening, this is Patrick Christys tonight with me, Nana Akweer, only on GB News. Right, let's take a look at tomorrow's front pages. We lead with the Independent, Burnham's North Star to light up Labour. The Metro, sparks fly over Andy's radical rewiring. Very good, I like what they did with that one. The Guardian, Burnham puts number 10 North at the heart of bids to rewire Britain. They're all going for this sort of electrical sort of references. I'm not quite sure why that is. Perhaps they're thinking perhaps you might get an electric shock out of all of it. The iPaper, Burnham pledges growth, housing in number 10 North in his vision for rewired Britain. Some breaking news as well, just in. Asylum seekers who can afford to repay the cost of their support and accommodation will now be required to do so under new laws. Tonight, we can reveal that the Home Office will require migrants to repay the full amount of support before becoming eligible for settlement. Those who leave the UK will also be expected to settle any outstanding repayments if they wish to return in the future. The payment will take the form of a flat rate charge, with eligible adults paying off an amount each month above the set threshold.
Do we believe that for 1 nanosecond?
Let me finish. There's a bit more. There's a bit more to this. The Immigration and Asylum Bill sets out new powers for the Home Office to recover costs from adults who have received asylum support, such as subsistence, or accommodation, provided they have access to sufficient funds. Asylum seekers in the UK currently receive accommodation and financial support, which costs the taxpayers around about $4 billion last year, and the rest. Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood said the cost of asylum accommodation on the British taxpayer is too high. We've already reduced asylum costs by $1 billion, but it is also right that we ask those who can contribute to do so. Receiving asylum support is a right, but it is also a responsibility. Once people can contribute and repay the generosity of the British people, we expect them to do so. All right, well, I'll give you my thoughts in a minute, but I think they might all claim to be children then, because you can't check how old they are, so they won't have to pay it back.
If they get rid of all their papers and their passports and their phones and whatever, how are we going to get access to their bank accounts when we don't know who they are or where they're from, and they lie about it? That's just pie-in-the-sky fantasy nonsense. It's never going to happen in a million years.
Well, it's clearly the right thing to do.
But it's not going to happen.
Well, it is, and, unlike...
It's words.
Unlike the people on Reform's front bench that were immigration ministers when things were going wrong, I think, getting these people to pay back the costs that they have benefited from as the taxpayer. Small boat crossings are down nearly 40%. Deportations are up.
You put that figure up all the time.
Statuses, a number of people getting refugee status is down. All of these are sensible and the right direction. Sooner you admit that this is what everybody wants and it's a Labour government.
We're never going to admit
OK,
because it's
one
simply
question,
not true.
Benjamin. How are you going to get the money out of them? I mean, it sounds great, it's lovely. Yeah. How will you get the money out of them?
Well, probably the same way they do with benefit cheats when they can access their bank accounts.
Just tell me how.
We don't do that either.
You absolutely...
We don't get benefit cheats.
You do. I've done it with someone recently that I reported.
What if they don't have a bank account? Like, they come here with nothing. They've managed to pay the smugglers, by the way. But they come here with nothing, and then you're going to go into a bank account. What bank account? You don't even know who they are.
You don't know where they're from, who
Sometimes they haven't paid the smugglers. They end up in a sort of effective slave trade.
No,
which is
mostly
that's why Theresa May changed the law.
So then they're even less likely to have money then. Yes. So where do you get the money from?
But anybody that's building a life here is going to have a bank account and therefore will have access to it.
It's just a word soup from the government.
Yes.
Nothing is really going to change. It doesn't even sound good. I mean, what was amazing is how much we were all laughing as you read it out.
Yes.
The only bit we didn't laugh at was the 4 billion quid that we've all paid already. Exactly. It's just a word soup. It's just nonsense. They're not serious, this government. Gimmicks like this will not stop people coming. You've got to deport people from the country, and until you start doing that, the minute they arrive, pick them up, put them somewhere, then deport them. The minute you start doing that, no one's going to...
But Benjamin seems to think that you could get money off them, though, and it wouldn't be that difficult.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe Benjamin believes the press release. I don't think anyone else does.
Do you believe that...
Well, of course the government has powers to access people's bank accounts in cases
But when you don't know who they are,
well,
they're lying about their
fairness to
names
Benjamin,
and their country of origin,
with so many of them being doctors and engineers, maybe they will get a highly paid job.
You see them all sitting there that haven't got 4 pence to rub together once they get here.
But
how are they going to pay it back?
But these are people, as the statement said, it said once they have the ability to pay, they must pay back.
So they're going to get a job
so those
somewhere,
will be people with jobs.
and they're going to earn 20 odd, 30 grand a year. They're going to be paying like 3% of that off until they die. They're going to be 95.
Well, what I'd be interested to note is if you think about people who borrowed money to go to university, they're subject now to a very high interest rate. I hope that this debt, whatever it may be, will be subject to the same interest rate as the student loans. Because, frankly, if British people who go to university should have to pay money on the debt, asylum seekers who are allegedly going to pay it back should have to pay interest on the debt as well. Would you agree with that, Benjamin?
They're living in 4-star hotels. How much does that cost a night? All their food, all the benefits, all their clothes, all the mobile phones. How are they going to pay all that back?
Well, they have to get a job, don't they? So we have to now give them a job and then tax them.
We don't have to give them a job. They will hopefully find a place in the jobs market.
A lot of them can't speak English, Benjamin. How's that going to work?
Yeah, but how... OK, let me just throw the scenario to you and then you can finish off the plan. All right, so they're in this place, in this asylum hotel or wherever it is. They're currently racking up a debt because we are feeding and clothing them and everything else like that. Their asylum is now coming through. They've failed their asylum. OK, now what?
Well,
just explain to me.
If they fail their asylum,
they don't leave. They do. OK, so they don't leave. They're still in the country. Sorry, let me just finish. They're still in the country. No, they're still in the country. They haven't been deported. How are they going to start paying back this money?
Well, that's not what the statement refers to, I think, because it refers to people that build a life here will have to.
So if you get thrown out, you don't have to pay the money back.
Well, if you get thrown out, then you stop costing us money.
Yeah, but they don't go.
That is a situation which every developed country has.
Who's paying for the legal costs? Who's paying for the tens of thousands that each of these appeals is?
We shouldn't be ashamed that we don't leave people to starve on British shores. That is not a point of shame. The question is whether they're eligible to stay, and those decisions should be...
Do you think France is a shameful country? Do you think everyone in France is ashamed by the fact that they don't house people, they don't give them benefits, they don't give them a free mobile phone? Do you think people in Calais or Paris think, God, I'm so ashamed to be living in France because we're not just giving them everything for free?
People aren't starving to death, right? So they obviously get some support,
to death
and that is the moral and right thing to do.
But they're not getting the free house, the free mobile phone, the free dental treatment, the free GP. I think France has got it right.
Why are you telling us this,
And I
Jake?
think
You were in the government that introduced all of that.
I think France thinks it's got it right because they want to leave there and come here. And there's no such thing as an asylum. There's no such thing as an asylum seeker from France.
So Labour's been in for 2 years. They've changed nothing.
That's complete nonsense.
It's worse under them.
Okay, what have
more
they changed?
coming than have ever come.
What have Labour changed?
Boat crossings are down. Deportations are up.
You keep on saying
Refugee
that.
claims are down. OK, the number of people in hotels is down. Let's just take a moment of the
because they've moved them
audacity.
to HMOs. Come on, the numbers
number
are
of
not
people
down.
is
The
down
they've
full
been
stop.
dispersed.
Of people coming is higher than it's ever been since records began.
No, it's not. It's down 37%.
No, it is not.
It is.
The third
Boat
part of
crossings
that
are down.
37% is people who wanted to go away.
Boat crossings are down 37%. Now, Jake, you're talking about all those things we give them. Did you ever think to mention that to the two prime ministers you were close to who introduced it?
I did, Benjamin.
So let me no impact?
Benjamin, normally you're hysterical. Now you're becoming historical. So let me set you right on the history. I did mention it, and that's why, even when I was serving in the UK cabinet, I was campaigning, not just in private, but in public, in print. You can read newspaper articles for us to leave the ECHR, to stop doing things like giving them free accommodation, free mobile phone.
What a cop-out. What a cop-out. The ECHR wasn't giving them dental treatment. That is the kind of decision that a government can have effected.
You're the cop-out. Your government's been in for the last 2 and a bit years and has done nothing.
You've asked me the question. I've given you the answer.
Quite like
and actually,
answer.
if you understood the law, you would understand that a lot of what the British government does is because it is required to do so by the ECHR.
The evidence that's nonsense is the fact that you just said France doesn't do it, which is also affected by the ECHR.
Yes, and how is it that
so
they're
you've
not
undermined your own argument.
That's because the British state doesn't function.
Oh, there you go. So you said my point. The British state doesn't function.
Benjamin, we see more evidence of it tonight, where the Home Secretary has announced today that 20,000 people who've come to this country illegally are now going to be eligible for British citizenship. Kemi Badenoch says we should leave the ECHR. By the way, she didn't say that when she was in government. Nigel Farage says we should leave the ECHR. He's right, and we know he'll do it. At what point is the Labour Party, Andy Burnham, whoever it is, going to get real about this and say Britain should be governed by its British Parliament, not unelected judges abroad?
Final word to you, Benjamin Butler.
Well, the bloke that let them all in having an epiphany when the public mood changes. You had the power, you didn't use it, and actually no one should listen to you based on that.
Well, that's why they're not in power anymore, because they didn't do it. So what?
You're not on.
But the Labour Party aren't doing anything either, and Andy Burnham didn't even mention it. Right, coming up, breaking news on the Times, front cover of the Times. Burnham pleads for 10 years to rewrite Britain.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
You've been to see Glengarry Glen Ross.
I have. So the movie was 92 and the play was 84, 85, something like David Mamet. It's all about men, or it's about men that are posturing being men. It's this idea of sort of toxic strutting, peacocking. However, the outrage, this most male of plays, has been cast with all women. Horrific. Taking away men's jobs right in front of us, Michael. It's on at the Old Vic, and we've got a cast of the ladies having a little word about it.
I think it might explode the play and open it up in really amazing ways, but we just don't know, and that is thrilling.
On first glance, you look at Glengarry and you think male, masculine world, male toxicity, but then if you strip that away and look at it from another lens, you say, no, this is about humans.
GB News, the People's Channel. Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
Joining me now is Chef Julia Walsh, who's the head of patisserie at Le Cordon Bleu.
Thank you.
How lovely to see you. You look marvellous in your chef's hat and your chef's jacket. Tell me about Le Cordon Bleu.
Le Cordon Bleu has been in operation for over 130 years. We had our 130-year anniversary last year. I'm from the campus in London, in Holborn, and we have a very wide-ranging curriculum with our students. I teach patisserie, so for me, I teach students to learn about things such as bakery, cakes, entremets, such as this one here, and showpieces. We do chocolate and sugar sculptures as well.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
3 lines on my shirt, never stop me dreaming.
Could this be England's biggest superfan? Benny Elcock has covered his York home in St George's flags in support of England ahead of the World Cup. 3 Lions memorabilia are draped across his windows, garden gates and flower pots. Even the family's Yorkshire Terrier Reggie has his own outfit.
We've done it for years. And I'll just stick my Everton one up, because I'm a massive Everton fan. People just think I'm mad. Say, well, you've gone a bit mad, you've gone a bit overboard. I said, I don't care. I love it.
Football mad Benny can't wait for England's first match.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good evening, this is Patrick Christys tonight on GB News with me, Nana Aquia. Right, let's take a look at tomorrow's front pages. The Daily Telegraph leading with this story about junior doctors. Their pay is set to hit £100,000. The Daily Express, Britain facing summer of no plan chaos. That'll be an interesting one. The Mirror, it's coming home. Yes, in reference to, well, not football. Andy Burnham, and number 10 North, I think, is that one. The Daily Mail, Burnham wants to rewrite Britain for Manchester base, with no mandate, by the way. And the Times, Burnham pleads for 10 years to rewrite Britain. But let's bring you to some breaking news just in. Police in Monaco are hunting a suspect after a makeshift bomb wounded 3 people tonight. Video surveillance captured a man dropping a backpack outside a residential building shortly before the blast. The device has been described as a parcel bomb by the Principality's Prosecutor General. The Mayor of Nice called it a tragedy for Monaco, but no group has of yet claimed responsibility. I'll bring you more of that as we get it. All right, let's take a look at that top story on the Daily Telegraph about the junior doctors to earn more than $100,000 in deals to end the strikes. Now, if I were doing the deal with them, I'd have to put a caveat in there that we also have to remove your right to be able to strike. I don't think they shouldn't be allowed. Well, then if they won't come to a deal...
That won't happen.
Well, it has to.
This is, over the past 4 years, they've had a 35.2% pay rise. I mean, this is beyond a joke now. These doctors, they're trying to call themselves resident doctors now because it makes them sound more experienced. What they are is junior doctors, and they're called that because they don't know everything. And they're going to be getting this money in their 3rd year of practice. It's outrageous. And they will still go on strike again. We know they will, because the BM union is full of Trotskyites and whatever, and they're going to keep on striking. But, the basic pay is going to be 80 grand for someone who is barely qualified, and they're still going to moan that they're not paid enough.
Well, the basic pay starting out as a resident doctor is £40,000.
For about 3 months.
And, given that they've already done 7 years of training, they won't have much flexibility to have done any work outside of that, so it's incredible discipline.
They haven't done 7 years before they start working on wards. They start working on wards way before that.
5 years at university, then they're on wards.
Yes, exactly.
And so, these are the people that have... It's very hard to get a place at medical school. There are fewer places than doctors we require.
Well, that doesn't make any sense anyway. There should be more places. We'd probably all agree.
It is. I actually was speaking to a junior doctor over the weekend who explained to me that there is a bottleneck because there aren't enough people to train up the junior doctors. So that's why they don't increase the places, because they wouldn't be able to train them up on the wards once they get to that stage. But,
So places are so rare. Why are they always going on strike? Why are they always moaning about their
because their pay has been cut since 2008.
It hasn't been cut. It just hasn't.
In real terms,
yes,
it has.
But listen, Benjamin, everybody has been on that same treadmill. So most people in the private sector have also not had pay rising at the rate of inflation, which is what they're asking for. And that is quite something. In fact, most people in the private sector do not have that gold-plated pension that they have.
Exactly.
Their pension is phenomenal.
But the point is that in 2008, the people going to medical school were 9 years old.
Exactly.
I mean, they know what they're signing up for.
Exactly.
And actually what we should be looking at with these junior doctors, who, even if you think 40,000 is a low starting salary, I don't actually. It's much higher than the national salary.
Yeah.
Yes.
But these junior doctors, we should look at their lifetime of earnings. They will be earning 6 figures from about the 3rd year of their career.
Yeah.
Plus for their entire career, plus their private work, and they will probably end up with a pension of over £100,000, which is more than hard-working class people in this country will even earn as their salary.
Yeah.
And they're going to end up with a bigger pension. We should look at their lifetime earnings. They're some of the highest paid people in the public sector. And I don't think that actually them repeatedly going on strike... Well, it's fine to say it's good, but what are they striking about then? If you agree they're some of the highest paid people in the public sector, a lifetime earning, gold-plated pension scheme that we're all paying for, most of them retire in their late 50s, what are they striking about?
How can anyone who devotes their lives to saving lives go on strike and leave vulnerable people to get more money and they're already bloated?
But doctors, not slaves. I mean, you know, sort of...
Slaves
don't get paid 100 grand.
Take me now. I'll be a slave for 100 grand.
Yes.
The fact you're saying that they shouldn't be allowed
You shouldn't have taken that final word.
You can't say that with a straight face, Butterworth.
I can.
Even you. No, you can't.
A healthy society respects and highly pays its doctors. And we're all
What, more so than nurses or teachers or hospital porters?
There's a lot of people you underpaid, Jake, so we'll have time to keep up.
Well, you've got time. You've got something to do about it. I don't know why a nurse, I think, is just as vital as a doctor.
Exactly.
Why shouldn't they be paid the same?
I agree. Well, listen, I've got to say thank you to my panel, Jake Berry, Benjamin Butterworth and Carol Malone. A couple of them will be joining me. Who's coming back with me?
I am.
Just you? Oh, God.
Sure. You only got here 10 minutes ago.
Well, I think that's fair enough, actually. Well, listen, do not go anywhere. There's a whole boatload full of news I'll be sharing with you in just a moment. But before that, let's find out how the weather is getting on tomorrow.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Rain will move into parts of the north and west through tonight. Cloudy and breezy night to come for most of us, particularly for western areas, and it will be feeling warmer by tomorrow morning, but quite a bit wetter for some of us as low pressures approaching from the Atlantic, introducing a weather front. Spells of wet weather are likely across parts of Northern Ireland and Scotland in particular. It's particularly more southwestern areas of Scotland and the central belt that will see the heaviest rain overnight tonight. Elsewhere, outbreaks of rain are likely. I think most of us are going to see at least some rain overnight, but very little across more southern areas. It's quite light rainfall, but with lots of cloud around, it is going to be a mild start to the day. Temperatures at least 15 degrees or higher by the morning. Plenty of cloud around across more northern areas. Some quite brisk southwesterly winds across more western areas of the southwest coast of Scotland. Lots of cloud around, heavy bursts of rain are expected as well. As I said, it's parts of the central belt where we're likely to see the heaviest rainfall through the day. Across more southern areas of the UK, it should be a relatively dry and bright start to the day. Not too much in the way of sunshine away from the very far southeast, but it is going to be a pretty bright day across more eastern areas. I don't think we'll see too much rain across the east. Elsewhere, a risk of showers, some of these heavy and thundery, particularly across parts of Northern Ireland and Scotland, as well as some areas of northern England. Some very heavy showers, perhaps across parts of North Wales too. Quite widely temperatures in the low 20s, 25 degrees, possible in the best of the sunshine across the south and east. Wednesday brings with it more cloud across the north and west, but another dry and bright day across more eastern areas, particularly through the morning. Risk of showers into the afternoon, but we're not expecting any thundery downpours through Wednesday. That rain then clears by Thursday to bring many of us a very sunny end to the week, with temperatures climbing once again to the higher 20s, with 30 degrees possible on the weekend. Bye-bye.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
We're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific two-part Great British giveaway. First, you could win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash, and that's